A note to the listeners, episode 51 contains some explicit language.
Word nerd, wordsmith, wordy, wordless. Oxford Dictionary says a word is a single, distinct, meaningful element of speech or writing, used with others or sometimes alone. We say each one matters. No extra words is literature, minimalist style. And we're getting you right to the story.
New Heart by Mitchell Crukmalnik-Gourba. 1. I'm staying in the oldest Irish bar in the city. I come downstairs to get my bangers and mash from the kitchen and old Bushmills from the bar. I still have IRA weapons in the trunk of my car. Jim McCallum is still trying to raise money to kill Orangemen. God saves the Queen. She lives on, but hardly anyone dies these days. They just keep getting more ancient. One might wish for the death of the war criminal Dick Cheney, but it's like the weather. No one does anything about it. They even gave that fucker a new heart. Can you imagine? 2. While I'm drinking my whiskey, the barman hands me a letter from my ex-wife in America. I begin reading it immediately. She reports that she threw her violin into a rocky field. It wasn't the expensive one that she uses for concerts. Her audition trail ended with a job playing for the Nashville Symphony Orchestra. Soon it was too late to go elsewhere. She disliked the South and detested country music. Nashville seemed a tacky place to have a classical career. Her violin caught a gust of wind and flew much further than she'd expected. It landed among the dry remnants of blue and white wildflowers. She heard it hit against a rock. It wasn't an instrument she cared about. Other news: her brother, an amateur beekeeper, had been attacked by a swarm of bees. His wife had contracted lupus and didn't have the energy to attend to his stings. The family's oldest daughter, just entering high school, was showing early signs of schizophrenia. Their basement had had a hidden leak, and now their cellar was filled with black mold, an aggravation to lupus. There was nothing my ex could do about the problems her brother and his family were having, so she threw her old violin into the field. I put down the letter, took a sip of whiskey, and pondered how I might respond to it. Blu-ray or DVD by Daniel Maluka. The old man waddled towards the checkout. "Hello, young man," he said as he looked at me strangely. "Hello, sir. How are you doing today?" The man shook his head theatrically. "Not doing well at all, young man." I moved the yogurt and scanned it. "Oh, sorry about that, sir. What? You know what's wrong with the video store?" He peeked up at me again, eyes eager for a reply, still with the odd look. Was there something on my face? The one down the street, what's it called again? "Kenny's Home Video," he quipped snappily. I go into the video store, and guess what I see? In the value section, they mix them all. Mix what, sir? The DVDs. They mix them all. We get the DVDs and the Blu-rays all together in one bin. I have nothing against the Blu-rays, but I enjoy DVDs more. I shouldn't have to wade through the litany of shitty Blu-rays to get to my DVDs. "So you're for separating them?" I asked. "You gotta keep them separated," he began. "That's the only way to restore order to the place. Look at the state of the place now. It looks half run down and no one goes in there anymore." "And you think it's due to the mixture?" The old man scoffed. "Of course it's due to the mixing. They're like oil and water. The DVDs and the Blu-rays are opposite." I quickly scanned the milk and the breakfast sausages. He was now staring at me, not even bothering to glance away. "What do you think, young man?" I scanned the soap and looked around the store. It was rather late, so the geezer could afford to chew my ear off. "What do I think?" I asked as I ran up his total. "Yes, you! That's why I asked." "I don't think the fabric of our society will tear because of the mixing of DVDs and Blu-rays." The old man pondered that for a second. "It's always been DVDs dominating. Aren't you scared of the Blu-rays taking over?" I was growing tired of the geezer now. "I think life has changed, and I think your total is $28.35. Cash or credit?" I asked. He paid in exact change.
Dean's Dilemma. My friend Dean has no eyebrows. He has a full head of curly hair, has to shave, has some chest hair, but never got the eyebrow gene. It wouldn't be so bad if he was a plumber, an architect, or a gynecologist, but he's my dentist, and I feel I have a cartoon character as my dentist staring down at me with his eyebrowless face every 6 months. For his 10th anniversary in practice, I organized a group of his patient friends to chip in and get him a gift certificate for eyebrow plugs. What the hell do I need eyebrows for? What function do they serve? Feeling the pressure from his friends, he made an appointment and went. But we turned with eyebrows drawn on and a recommendation that I have them tattooed instead of plugs. You're a Jew, and Jews don't believe in tattoos, unless you're Adam Levine, I told them. Trying to make light of the subject and delaying the whole plug deal, Dean let his wife draw eyebrows on in different colors and sizes, such as red, white, and blue for Independence Day, blue and yellow for Hanukkah, and of course green and red for Christmas. One St. Patty's Day, 4 couples went out for corned beef and cabbage and green beers or green Grey Goose martinis. Dean went over his limit. His emerald green eyebrows drooped around his half-mast eyes, and he slapped the table and said, "I have an announcement. I'm having the eyebrow plugs put in next week." He expected something, so we gave him a round of applause, and he stood on a chair and took a bow, and then dropped trow and mooned us. "Did you notice there wasn't a hair on my ass?" he slurred. "They're waiting for me to come in and have them used as plugs. I've been going to New York every week to have some removed and stored, waiting for the right time, and that time is next week." As much as we cared for Dean, it was going to be a struggle looking at his ass hairs hanging above his eyes. He had no idea what he was in for when asked about his new eyebrows by patients not in on the down low.
Hello there. Welcome to No Extra Words, the Flash Fiction Podcast. My name is Chris Baker-Dersch. I'm your producer and editor. Curmudgeons and Incorrigibles is what we're talking about today. I looked them both up in the dictionary, Merriam-Webster, just because even with words you know, it's always fun to have that exact definition because there's nuances that you miss. A curmudgeon is a person, especially an old man, who is easily annoyed or angered and who often complains, whereas incorrigible is incapable of being corrected or amended, not reformable or manageable. I think both of those types make really, really cool characters. So we started with the curmudgeon section, although I think your guys early in this story are both, but we kind of started with this old man ruminates life section, first in New Heart, and then on to Blu-ray DVD, and then in Dean's Dilemma. One of the things that's cool about today's episode is we are welcoming back 3 repeat contributors, as well as welcoming first-time contributor Daniel Maluka. So the playing off of voices that we heard before and voices that are new to the show, pretty cool. Incorrigible is a word that gets lifted right out of the story that we're going to close with. Before I do that, I'm going to quickly talk about the podcast. I said a couple of times in social media and on the blog in the last couple of weeks that it's been interesting to transition into this every other week schedule that we're doing for the summer, and I've kind of missed you guys, missed talking with you, missed bringing you new stuff. It is however, opening up that time that I hope that it would. So hope you haven't missed us too much in the 2 weeks that we have been gone. One other thing that's going to open up some more time and help us kind of get out from being underwater a little bit is we are closed for submissions officially as of today. So if you have something you're dying to send us, you got to hold on to it till August when we will open up for those again. There is one grand exception. It took less than a week of us being on this new summer schedule before I decided to add stuff to it. So we are going to do another summer camp episode. Episode 5 was our summer camp episode, and we're expanding it this summer to make it the 2016 summer camp special, which is going to come out, I'm hoping, in July. But that means we need your camp stories. And there are pretty specific rules about what those need to look like. So please check out noextrawords.wordpress.com for all of the details about that. So if you're looking to submit, send us a camp story or wait until August. And it's interesting because usually our submissions announcements, I always feel like clash with the content of the show. And I feel bad because it's my chance to talk to you, but I also want to deal with the meat of what we do, which is bring you short stories. However, I happen to have a story coming up next that is going to talk directly about writers and prose and submissions. That is The Party by Adam Kluger, featuring voice actor Aisha Walks.
His prose?
Wonderful. Piquant.
Sentence structure, syntax, use of colloquialisms?
The entire body of his work is chopped. A little hard to digest, but deliciously robust narrative nonetheless.
You really have been spending a lot of time on your food blog, huh?
Platform is everything these days, B. How are plans coming for tonight's get-together?
Oh, you know, the usual drama and complaining, of course. It won't be a literary circle even if someone wasn't bitching about someone or sticking the knife in somebody's back. It's all part of the fun and games, I suppose. You're part of the scene long enough and nothing surprises you. These writers, though, continue to show even poorer taste if I do say so. This last one couldn't have been any more impertinent, really. You shepherd them through the process. You offer them immortality, and you give them a chance to be sampled by the true arbitraries of the literary intelligentsia. And do you receive any form of gratitude from them whatsoever? Hardly.
I know, B. They are truly the basest of all creatures. All ego and no talent. Insecurity and hubris. They grab and cloy and never once realize that they are not special in the slightest. You're simply the current flavour of the month.
Oh, this new one was the worst, I tell you. He thought he was born with a gift of some sort. You know the type. He has no time to play the game, as he would call it. No time for foolish submission guidelines or petty protocols.
Can you imagine?
Yes, he really did say that.
Didn't he realise that those submission guidelines and protocols that he mocked were instituted centuries ago to keep out the dreck and unwashed masses who claim to be writers? If we did not maintain standards or a threshold, there would be nothing but a giant mud puddle of dung surrounded by flies.
And by flies, you mean, of course, aspiring writers.
Of course.
So who shall we expect at tonight's heavenly soiree?
Oh, all the usual suspects. The staff from Creative House, including the illustrious Madam B, and her devilish young ingenues, and all dressed in high fashion, like Dorothy Parker clones, all the top literary lights, bloggers and buggeros, some glitteretti, musical theatre friends, a surprise or two. Expect the usual standing room only.
Lovely, lovely. Are they all going to be pulling this new fellow apart to get at him?
There should be enough of him to go around. When last we spoke, he impressed me with his big personality.
So, how do you handle the particulars?
Per usual. He signed his rights over for us, for the novel, etc., etc., with a standard minor advance.
Did you make him jump through hoops?
Of course.
And dance like a chicken with his head cut off?
Naturally.
And he didn't read the fine print on the contract?
They never do. Do they?
That's right. So eager they are for that small advance and for that sweet taste of fame.
They never have time for contracts or submission guidelines or petty protocols.
They never do.
Even when it says very clearly in black and white.
Upon the occasion of my death, all rights to my novel revert back to Bascom, Wellington and Associates.
Speaking of which, how's your famous writer stew coming along?
Should be the head of the party, as always.
B, you're a cheeky devil.
Thanks, old friend. Be a good fellow and pass me a fresh sprig of rosemary, will you? And could you toss the leftover metacarpals into the incinerator? I have a feeling he won't be needing them anymore.
Quite right. You incorrigible old rascal, you.
Thanks for listening to the No Extra Words podcast. For more information on today's stories and contributors, or to learn how to submit your own work, please visit us at noextrawords.wordpress.com. The best support you can give the show is to recommend us to your family and friends. See you next time.